There's a few things I want to get into, but first of all, funny story, kind of. New template, right? You haven't seen me with this template ever before. Although it's similar in its layout to what I would usually use, right? I accidentally deleted my old setup, my old template. And, you know, something kind of dumb like that. But so I started searching over the internet some free templates here and there. All of this is completely free. And it looks fancy enough. I think it looks pro enough. It doesn't come out of the box with this kind of layout. It's kind of in a layout that I didn't like, actually. So I've clipped some of the graphics, stretched them out, changed the widths, and doubled them up here and there, and pieced them together. Took me ages, actually. There's about 10 or about 13 different components individually here, layered up, and like explain why I've screen captured my laptop screen in a bit. Before we get into what I'll briefly say before we get into what is related to previous video, installing Linux on an Android device. One more thing about people are using really good graphics in terms of the components themselves, so really good bits of graphics. But they just throw it all on as if in such a lazy way. And these are people who are very well established, plenty of viewers on YouTube, like nobody. But then they start sinking because of their laziness and lazy approach to their presentation, lazy approach to the community, lazy. And I think it's pretty shitty and disgusting, because what got you the success in the first place was not really you. It's partially you, but it's those who looked out for whatever your content was, and you're getting rewarded by other people, fellow human beings. Help those people, help you, help them, and vice versa, and that you keep your standards going. I see too much of people not maintaining the standards in today's world, especially not just individuals, but whole companies. Hey, whole countries. Go look at America. I'll briefly say something. One more thing before I say something about the tablet PC. I'm going to go into why or how then we can install Linux on a tablet PC. You also see people, when they throw these graphics together, they don't leave enough room underneath. You know, it's quite roomy underneath this bar, because, you know, let's say you sat back and your mouse cursor is over the YouTube player. The player bar's popping up, and you have graphics underneath that. It's just unprofessional. It's really lazy. If you wanted to search the timeline as well, you're hiding. I've seen people hiding like web addresses actually in their display, their video, regardless of a link below, with not really hiding as such, but it's so low that it can be hidden accidentally by just the mouse going over the player, and the player bar hides it, and it just when you're sat back watching a video and the player bar's over the graphics, and you're thinking, oh, I don't know what that is underneath there. You can just see it because it's semi-transparent, right? And I look later, and you forget, and it's just shitty way to do your, and not to mention people using other people's graphics where they used to work together, but then they split up and they carried on using the graphics they don't have consent to. Yeah, one comes to mind does that, definitely. And the lack of quality in presentation after that individual no longer worked with them. Yeah, they were doing a lot for them. Yeah. Funny how they claimed that their previous partner with them had this aggressive takeover, but really I think it was just handed over to him bit by bit. You do this, you do that. And then, yeah, for that one individual I'm thinking of, it went to their head, sure. But not the other one I'm thinking of, who's, yeah, pretty cool. We followed that. The community ditched after this sort of kind of split up, ditched the one who's being lazy and using that other person's graphics, right? Really? Because we thought, oh, this person's doing more or less some other things that we was on the lookout for in the first place. And then when after the split, the other one just increasingly didn't deliver what the great promise was. So, just before I get into, again, what we're going to do with this screen capture, I need to do it so I can talk you through it. Kind of like that, I need to visualize or see it being done as I talk it. So on an Android device, you can use some of your storage space as virtual RAM. But it's precious, right? Storage space is precious. My precious, right? And depending on how much storage space you got, you may not want to give up even a gigabyte. However, there's plenty of gigabytes on here in storage space as opposed to its actual RAM. There's 8 gigabyte, I think, of RAM, which is fine for what I'm doing. And storage space is, I think it's 212 or something, or is it 112? Plenty. Anyway, last time I looked, I can't remember what it was, but I can remember thinking, well, that's plenty. In your settings on your Android device, go to settings, and then if you can't find it scrolling through, go to the search icon, type in RAM plus, enter, and then you'll see this thing RAM plus. Click that. So I'm clicking that now, and you'll see this thing come up, says check in. You might get a different experience, but for all intents and purposes, you'll get to the same sort of destination, same page, and there'll be a number of things there in front of you that you can scroll past those things, and again at the bottom of those things is RAM plus again. Tap that again. It kind of seems unintuitive, but that's how it is. And you'll see options. In my case, I got options 2 gigabyte, 4 gigabyte, 6 gigabyte, 8 gigabyte. So chose 8 gigabyte. They describe to you what this does. You choose, turn it on, and then you choose what size you want to use. So RAM plus, as it says here, uses your tablet's storage space to provide virtual memory. Storage space typically it's not going to be as fast as your RAM, but it's an extra thing. It's an extra tool in your arsenal of getting stuff done and alleviating your actual RAM processing for other things. Depending on your storage space, how much you got, this is a very affordable way to kind of upgrade the experience of your, in this case, of your tablet PC, of my tablet PC in my case. So tablet PC, storage space to provide virtual memory. Choose more virtual memory to allow more apps to stay open in the background. Choose less virtual memory to keep more open, to keep more storage space free. Pretty handy tip. Another tip is, if you go into settings again, type in BUILD, that's build number, NUMBER, enter, and you'll see a build number thing. Tap that, and you get a thing to scroll down. Find build number, where it says build number, and tap it. Tap a number of times, and you'll get an option to enable developer mode. If you don't want to do, that's fine, but you're probably going to need to do it to do what I'm suggesting next. We'll get over to the screen now. So the screen, that's here's Google Play. Type in Termux, and Termux is the command line you saw in a previous video on the tablet PC installing Ubuntu. But you need developer mode enabled to do this. Chances are, if you have Android, I think 11 and upwards, you might get some issues. We'll get into that in a separate video. But install Termux, one of these, and install on more devices. I already have it on the tablet PC. You're going to need that. If you want to install a Linux operating system on your Android device, you're going to need this, especially. This can be used to install other things like Android tools as well. So if we come into Andronix, got slightly distracted there, somebody's just come into the building. Install that, you're going to need that. And one other thing, you're going to need RVNC viewer. Spelled viewer wrong, but it's given me the option there. So RVNC viewer, enter. Install on one or more devices. What RVNC viewer does is gives you kind of like a virtual machine. And the beauty of running Linux on this, doing it this way, is it runs, you can have it running on top. It doesn't overwrite your Android system. You're not at risk of bricking anything in the case where people do this routing thing. And you can exit out of the Linux and go to your Android operating system easily. I've actually reset the tablet PC, start it from scratch as well. You can do that. A number of things you can do with this. And I'm going to be getting a SD card to be put in here. I think there's a way to use even that as virtual RAM. I'm not too sure yet. Instead of just file storage. So these are different bells and whistles you can do. There's a no headphone jack. This is the Samsung tablet Galaxy Tab S8 Plus. Not the cellular version, but there's an S8 Plus of that cellular version. So there's 6 versions of these actually, in terms of when there's one out there that's a tiny bit smaller than this. There's another one much bigger than this in terms of real estate, screen. So you got the Galaxy Tab S8, Galaxy Tab S8 Plus, the Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra. And you got the ones where they all have the SIM card option, but you got all of those versions as well in a cellular version with SIM card, SD card, sorry. So how you would do that, how you install the SIM card in the cell phone versions is, I mean, how they pack everything in here is impressive workmanship. The actual tray that holds the SD card, on the other side of that tray holds the SIM card, and you just put one on one side, one on the other, and you slot it in. If you have trouble, I got a pin here somewhere, safety pin. If you're buying one of these brand new, you'll get the tool with it to open your SD card tray, SD and SIM card tray if you've got the cellular version. This is a safety pin, which does the same as a tool, really. I tried a corkboard pin. It wasn't working. It was too thick and wasn't popping out the tray. Because how the tray pops out, there's a tiny hole that you push something into, and then out pops the actual tray. And that is at the top of the PC, top of the tablet. Let me see if I can. I haven't got the option yet. Hold on. I didn't replicate this template just yet, but I wanted to just quick click and this would swap over, but we'd do that. We'd get that manually set up now, actually. Duplicate that. So I'm going to put all these graphics on my Google Drive. It's safe. I have barely ever used my Google Drive, which means it's going to be safe out my way of my tinkering around, right? Because I don't want to delete this template because it's really nice, right? And I'll be back to square one again, trying to build a template, wasting time. So bear with me a sec, but I do this, and you'll see this swap around quite nice in a bit. But that's the swap around that you're going to see is what I want to do in the future videos, some future videos, kind of like how I used to do things as well with the Exploratory Minds project. It's still really Exploratory Minds. If you look at the logo, it's just different projects under the same kind of branding. I had a struggle with that as well. I'm learning kind of here and there. So we expand that, and we do that. If I had all this set up, it wouldn't be taking this long. It would just be me clicking the button, and you'll see this happen. If I click, that's basically what I was trying to do, get that sorted. I just wanted to show you what I was talking about. If you're struggling to get that tray open and you got an SD card, you got all this money for an SD card, I can't even put it in. I understand your frustration, and even though I haven't got an SD card in here yet, I will buy one. Probably just about, there we go, see that? It's this here, and there's a tiny hole in it. I don't know if it can focus. It's a tiny hole in that tray, and you just stick the safety pin into that tiny hole. Press down, fairly firm, but don't overdo it. And the moment it pops out, stop pressing down, and then you can see it's popped up there. And then you can just pull that out and put your SD card in and slot it back, pop it back in, and you're good to go, and your tablet PC will detect extra storage. Safety pins always come in handy. They come in handy as well for remember the old CD trays. So there used to be a hole in that as well. If the tray got stuck on your desktop PC or your laptop, put a pin in that, and it pushes the tray out, and you can get your CD out. So I'll see if I can do a few screenshots of graphics that's showing you step by step what to do, and put that in a presentation of how to install Linux on your Android operating system. People have even installed Linux on their mobile phones with this. You know, if you've got an Android phone, they've done it that way. They've installed Kali Linux on some devices, mobile devices, and basically turning in this phone into a discrete hacking device, if you will. Of course, that's a whole controversial subject matter, and you know, I want to talk more about that in terms of black hat hacking, illegal hacking. Am I an advocate of it? No, not at all. I'd be, you know, be foolish to be being that way. White hat hacking, but there's a grey area as well, in which the grey area includes many different people who have done things for the greater good. White hat would be people being employed by a firm to test their network and say, oh, yeah, I've hacked in, here's what you can do to get the better security and software to stop that type of hack. All for education purposes, I'd like to add. You know, at some point, I mean, I may be doing several different types of videos in between till I get there, but this is one more subject in my list that is interesting me, and what is certainly fascinating me at the moment is the ability to put different flavors of operating systems over on top of an Android operating system. I'm running at the moment, I'm running on my tablet PC, Zorin OS. Zorin are awesome. Definitely worth looking into. Now I can do one-click transition. Lovely. Awesome. So Zorin OS right here, and it's very customizable, very easy to use, and you know, I did think earlier, oh, I deleted that. Is it on my old Windows installation? So I restarted the laptop and felt dirty and disgusting just firing up Windows, because this system has a dual boot and two different drives. The moment I turn it on, we're updating, then it restarts. It's running Windows is like starting your car and then it fails and you got to do something to get it going. And, you know, it's just, it makes your hardware a really, really shitty product. Running Linux makes it a really, really good product. Makes your hardware a good product. I got into Windows and then some update come in, are we restarting your machine? So I restarted the machine about 3 times before I was able just to click around to find if there's any backup of files of the files that I used to create the old template, and there wasn't. So that was a waste of time. And I thought, so screw this, I'm going to restart it into Zorin OS very quickly, pop, straight in, and it just sits there, not begging you to do anything, not putting in icons on your desktop that you weren't consenting to, not listening to your stuff that you weren't consenting to, keeping your settings as they were because you didn't consent to have them changed. You changed them and they stay changed. A very strong sense of your computer is your computer with Linux. You don't get any sense of your device, your computer is yours when you run Windows. With Android, it's kind of a bit flip-floppy here and there, but Android is very easy to use, I find. What's also even easier to use, despite having like a more desktop environment if you install Linux, on here, Samsung have added what they call Samsung DeX. And DeX gets rid of like the scrolling the icons and all that you typically, like Android's typical Android display, and gives you very much of a desktop environment on an Android tablet PC. So next move is get the cover for this. It's on its way, and a keyboard, and I'll be using this like it's a little laptop. The expansion port is it's the same port you'd charge a device with anyway. You can also put in there, it's tiny. See how ridiculously thin this is, and they packed so much in there. There's 4 speakers in this thing as well. You can get your headphone jack in that. It is like an adapter and headphone jack. You can have your headphones on, but there's no separate headphone jack otherwise. As you can see, it's a bit of a fingerprint magnet. As soon as it's cleaned up, it looks fairly good to go. There was very minor scuffing at the back of this when it arrived. Barely shows up when you give it a good clean anyway. But it was owned for a year or so by somebody else. Came through practically brand new. That the build quality of the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 and the Ultra version, and this is the S8 Plus and the Ultra and the S8. Really good build quality. But what you lose in that tight lockdown build quality is you can't get in there and change things that modify this. But this is future-proof enough for me, especially that I could run Linux on this. There is some they're not exceptions, but there's things that people might come across and stumbling blocks if they wanted to install Linux on this. One of them is called the Phantom Process Killer. It sounds creepy, right? It's looking for processes that are not really. It's kind of like how Windows did. This is not a Windows compatible software. It's stop install or whatever. I don't know, something like Windows compatibility crap. But it's along those lines. They didn't want like stuff that wasn't really designed for Android typically, and yet you got this thing called Andronix. It is kind of Android's idea as well. Andronix gives you the link you saw on the other screen or display I showed you. It gives you a link to paste into Termux, the command line, to install Linux. It downloads the packages from there. And some people have come across issues with installing Android tools via Termux, with I'll probably show you how to get around that as well at some point. Peace out. Thank you for watching. Take care, and I look forward to doing another video soon. Cheers. Bye.